Today, we're going to keep it fairly topical in the sense that we're going to chat about mistakes that a lot of players are making on their first week back or even the first few weeks back to training with GAA. Now, these are just mistakes that are controllable from a player's point of view. It's just a handful of them, easy ones to explain and easy ones to dial through and work around. I'm not going to be talking about any mistakes that teams or managers or anything that's kind of uncontrollable are making. They're different mistakes totally. They can be addressed another time. But for now, we'll just talk about the player. So this is mainly mistakes that are made at the beginning of the season, or when I say the beginning of the season, that could be the first week, the first month, more than likely the first month. We'll keep it to. So people tend to hold on to their pre-season gym work as long as possible without adjusting volume. So the gym volume is just too high at the start. People can get caught up in feeling pretty good in the moment. So if you're doing 4 gym days a week, that can be you might feel great at that, but you're not taking into account the amount of stress that's going to come in from training, so you continue it. So really people are digging a hole. Just because hitting the gym 5 days a week in the off season felt great doesn't mean it's a good idea in season. You only have so many tokens to give. So here it's important to understand that if we were to calculate our energy that we can give or put into something for performance in units, now you're not in control of a lot of the units. So when you were in the gym or when you were working out in the off season or pre-season or when you were on your own plan, the beauty about that is you are in full control of that plan, from the running to the lifting to the volume to varying intensities, as in, this is going to be a heavy day, this is going to be a light day, etc. So you're in total control. What happens when you start the season is you give up a lot of that control. In fact, you give up most of it, to be honest. So I won't know. I might have an idea what training is going to be like before I go, maybe after a few months, a few weeks, or if the manager lets you know. But for the most part, people don't really know what they're getting into, especially with matches, never mind training. With matches, I mean, sometimes you can be out on your feet for a day or two after, you might be fine the next day, totally dependent. Training is pretty much the same. So while you're giving up this control, you need to understand that these units I'm talking about of energy, you're giving up 70%, 50 to 70% of them. So you only have 30% left. Now, you can't use 30% of those units to fill out what you were doing in the preseason. You're spreading yourself far too thin there, and you need to understand that you just don't have enough to give if you're trying to continue the same amount of volume in the gym. So my recommendation would be especially in season, if you're on the pitch 3 days a week, in the early part of the season anyway, look, 1 to 2 rest days is going to be great. If you can get 2 in, usually for people who have a big preseason and off season in, they can afford to get 2 full rest days. That would be great. You got your 3 days on the pitch, 2 days in the gym, maybe 1 day in the gym. But ideally, you'd like to be getting 2, especially in the early parts of the season. So if you're someone who's put in a bit of work, you need to account for that there is going to be changes. You can't give everything that you've given beforehand. Your body will eventually not be good to you, and you will shut down, overtrain, burn out, whatever you want to call it. On the other hand, then gym work stops totally. I see this just as much as I see the other one. So the other one is kind of for the athlete who enjoys training, who enjoys the task of getting fit, leads a healthy lifestyle. They kind of don't know when to stop, and they're the people you got to peel back a little bit. Then there's the people on the other end who see training as it's a sport, it's a good social outing. They're into it, but once they leave training, it's done. It's not in their heads as much anymore. This is where the gym work stops. So people in the off season tend to do a little bit and make sure they kind of keep half fit. Even if it's doing the minimum, it's something. But so many people stop doing gym work as soon as the pitch sessions return, or they stop the consistency. A lot of GA players do the odd workout, avoiding lower body, as they are getting enough work on the legs at training, is what we hear a lot. Others bounce around workouts rather than get on a program. So bouncing around workouts, there's a difference between working out and being on a program. Working out is random. It's going by feel. There's no structure. There's no progression. There's no specificity really to it. There might be a bit of specificity, but if you're not doing it consistently, it's not really worth it. There's no progression there. So people who are in the gym, they decide, okay, well, I might go to the gym the odd week. I'll just do upper body. Do you know what? I've got a lot of I'm getting a lot of working out in my lower body when I'm running. The pitches are heavy. That's as good as a leg workout. You know, my legs are heavy, etc. But people don't realize that the majority of your training in the gym should probably be geared towards lower body movements, at least in terms of injury prevention, in terms of power production, in terms of getting stronger overall. There's such a huge return on investment for a GAA athlete or any field athlete from working their lower body. That's why a lot of my clients and a lot of my programming, about 60 to 70% would be lower body work. Now, that doesn't mean you're banging out heavy squats, banging out heavy deadlifts, you're lunging till the cows come home. It just means you're providing a stimulus to the lower body, enough that you can recover from and enough that's going to elicit whatever you're looking for the next training or for the next session or for the next phase, etc. So everything's feeding into everything else. When the gym work stops, over time, there will be a bit of breakdown. It's a very, very, very heavy cardiovascular sport. You need to learn to maintain that muscle. You need to get the tendons, ligaments used to that sort of resistance training. So for the sake of injury prevention, this is just as bad as overdoing it in the gym, in my opinion. And a lot of people come in and out of this where they'll pick up a knock, do their rehab, do some gym work, and as soon as they're back training, bang, the gym stops again. And soft tissue injuries are totally avoidable. This is something I talked about in an old YouTube video, which I'll link below, and it was basically looking at injuries, comparing strength work, stretching, proprioception work, and a mixture of all. And basically by the end, they came to the realization, it was a meta-analysis of thousands of studies, they came to the realization that strength training was the best for injury prevention over time. So becoming strong through multiple ranges of motion and getting strong through different positions, having a bit more muscle mass, moving through those ranges, be it upper body, lower body, was better for you than stretching or than nothing or than proprioception. It was even better than a mixture of all. So the gym work stops is a big problem. Rushing to get fit. So this question box came up on my Instagram. So I said I'd address it here again. So this is something I see a lot, and I've seen it in my own club. I've seen it in other clubs. I've seen it in teams I've played with. From talking to people, it's especially to do with people who haven't done much in the pre and off season. Obviously, they get back training, which demands 3 sessions a week. Some cases it's 2 a week. They don't feel fit naturally, and begin to do extra work, which usually consists of more running. So you've got a few options here. Okay, so number one, start of the season, no one's going to be feeling brilliantly fit. Well, those who have done a bit will feel fit, but they won't feel match fit, obviously. It's a whole different fitness. Those who do nothing are going to feel even worse. You're probably going to be a bit behind. But it's amazing, over the course of 4 weeks, that's 12 sessions. 8 sessions minimum, if in some cases people do 2 a week, but let's assume you do 1 on the side. So it's 12 sessions. That's going to be a huge bulk, and that month is going to do so much for you. But you just can't see that yet because you're so close to the forest, you can't see the trees. Getting fit is not a quick fix. It's something that takes a bit of time. Maintaining it is kind of easy for the most part without burning out. That's the hard part, is kind of overdoing it. Maintaining it is pretty easy. Getting there is not easy and takes time and consistency and repetitions. So, number one, there is no rushing to get fit. Number two, let's say you've got 3 sessions a week and it's Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. So Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, you're training on the pitch. Quite dominant days on the legs. It's going to be pretty heavy in terms of running naturally. It's kind of the start of the season. You're far away from matches. It's going to be quite a lot of volume at that. If running's something you really need to focus on, then yes, you fit it in a 4th day of the odd week. It could be something you just got to do. But I would say pick your day wisely. People usually, even though they're training, let's say, what did I say, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, people are off the weekend, so they're like, oh, I'll go Saturday. But what you're doing when you run Saturday is you're not giving yourself that time to recover from Friday's session and perform on Sunday's session. So as a result, it's a bit counterintuitive or counterproductive. So what you should be doing is picking a different day. that's away from the other days. So if you went out on a Tuesday at training, maybe Wednesday is the day you do a bit of extra work. You got rest the Thursday or a light bit of gym, and then you're going Friday and Sunday again. Obviously, Monday, ideally you'd like to leave for the gym, but if you're going on Monday, you got to keep in mind what you did Sunday. Is it mainly ball work? Is it running, etc.? So you got to keep that in mind as well. Another rule of thumb, if you're doing a 4th running session, I would probably like you to do a long distance aerobic work that isn't going to interrupt the other sessions. So 45 minutes plus, heart rate around 130 to 140 beats per minute. Keep it light. Don't exert yourself that it's going to negatively affect the next day of training, be it in the gym or on the pitch, and spread it out if possible. A scenario, if you're training twice a week with the club only, of course, get your running in on a separate day. So if it's Friday and Sunday, run Tuesday or Wednesday. If it's Tuesday and Saturday, run Thursday. You know, spread it out. So try and spread it out. Again, with the running you're doing on that day, because it's going to be your 3rd day of running rather than 4th, I would suggest doing a bit higher intensity than the 130 beats per minute. So shuttle, sprints, repeated sprints, turns, change of directions, etc. The usual crack. Another option then is, for someone, let's say for myself and for a lot of people, I suffer a bit with knee tendonitis at times if I don't manage my load correctly. So I know a 4th day for me of running eventually over the course of a month is going to catch up with me and knock me out for a week or two, where I might have to totally deload because of the demands on my knee. So I would suggest getting on a bike, swimming, skier, whatever, a different mode of cardiovascular work, and just try and build your engine rather than build your running. Again, it'll all feed into each other over time. So rushing to get fit appears to be a bit of a problem as well. I would say the main thing is, if you're a bit worried, it's normal, just give it time, you'll get fit. Asking too much of yourself at the beginning again. So people tend to go out at 100% to prove a point, or think they can perform the same as they did last time. So adjust your expectations and expect mistakes. Your proprioception, agility, awareness of space, reading of the game and other players who you're playing with is going to take time. Just like everything else, consistency and patience is the most important factor as usual. So you're not going to be firing at all trumps. Even if you are someone who's come back very fit, you've been playing a bit of ball, you've been hand passing, kicking, using a wall ball or whatever, it's not the same. You're now reading a game. You're now working alongside other people. You're now reading a person's body language, trying to mark them or trying to get around them, trying to get the best of them. Things change. Your mind's eye is probably going to take some time at the start. Even just hand passing to someone who's moving, or kind of holding the ball softly and getting it tackled out of your arm, that's going to be completely normal for the first while. It's just about building good habits and letting that come back when the time comes. It might take a few weeks, but that's pretty normal as well. So not prioritizing recovery during the adaptation process. So people have just applied a huge stimulus this week and a huge stress on the body. We need time to recover, adapt and elicit the response we are looking for. Yet people butcher the basics: inadequate calories, low protein, shit sleep, and potentially don't allow for the response through further activity. So recover comes in many forms, but it's worthless if you can't hit the basics. So people might go train on the Tuesday. Wednesday they might go running, maybe do a few sprints. They might go do a heavy gym session. They might go play Astro, whatever. It's your first few weeks back. You're going to need time to adapt. So that's fine if you're going and doing these things the next day. Make sure you look after the basics. Water intake high. Prioritize your protein with every meal. Keep it high, especially during this time when we're trying to adapt. Calories, unless you've got body weight or body fat to shift, keep your calories fairly high. Make sure you're in a surplus. Make sure you're feeding yourself and fueling yourself to recover. Fats, carbs, everything, all the good stuff. Keep it very basic. Sleep is probably the most important thing. So a lot of people will do a hard training session or two the first week back. They'll go home, they'll eat shit food, they'll have not enough calories, they'll stay up till God knows when, they'll have about 5 to 6 hours of shit sleep, and then the next day they'll go at it again and continue with the usual stressors, and you're not giving your time or your body the chance to recover and adapt to what you've just put it through. So you need to learn to let your body adapt to the stimulus, recover, and then build again and again and again. Another thing I'm seeing is a lot of people will look for a shortcut like massage guns, foam rollers, compression pants. Lads will put on compression pants and go to bed and feel like their recovery is class, yet their nutrition's shit. Again, the basics, everything is shit. They're not sleeping enough. They're not doing the basics right, and yet they expect this foam roller to make their injuries and recovery go A1. So that just makes no sense. You got to hit the basics right and make sure you're recovering enough, especially in the first month back. That's pretty much it. That's all I'm going to go over for this one. Basically, it's about keeping it simple, get the most out of your training, and the main message is get the most out of your training by allowing yourself to adapt right now. Keep gym volume low, keep up the gym volume, but keep it low. Don't expect to be kicking absolute worldies at this time of the year. Don't expect to be super fit this time of year, and just prioritize recovery. And that's pretty much it. I hope everyone's enjoying being back at football.